Discipline is key, but not all discipline is the same. What is the first thing that comes to mind whenever you think of discipline? For me, it would definitely be something like the military, strict parents, or maybe even really strict sports teams. All three of these examples are great examples of institutional discipline. That, however, may not be the best form of discipline. The best form of discipline and the discipline that I advocate for on this channel is self-discipline. Now, self-discipline can be an extremely lonely thing, and I'm going to show you exactly how you can combine the benefits of institutional discipline and self-discipline today in this video. I'm going to be sharing some super cool examples, so make sure to watch all the way through so that you don't miss a thing. What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Javier Andres Godoy, and on this channel, I share my experience with self-help ideas, books, and new ways of making money. To begin, let me start by addressing an idea that is a common misperception in many people's minds. That is the idea that discipline is something that is in your genetics. Some people may say, oh, that person is just more naturally disciplined, or I'm not a naturally disciplined person. Some people think that because they weren't naturally born disciplined, or because their parents maybe weren't disciplined, that they can't build their own self-discipline. For a long time, I was like this too. A little side story about myself: I'm the youngest of 3 kids, and for a long time, my 2 older sisters would always bother me saying that I was an undisciplined person because I was spoiled and I always got whatever I wanted. I had the idea in my head that I was an undisciplined person, and that was just constantly going through my mind because that's all I had heard growing up. I also knew a lot of kids whose parents were in the military and thought those kids are just naturally disciplined because that's the way they've been raised and they just have that in their genetics. And while some of that may be true and your parents may have a big impact on how you were raised, you can't inherit discipline from them. It's not something in your genetics. Personally, you have to take responsibility and take control of your own discipline if you want to build it. It's also not something that you can have just because you are part of a disciplined institution. I'm a college athlete, and as part of our off-season training, we have 3 lifts a week. The Wednesday lift in particular, everybody hates because it is at 6 a.m. when the Tuesday night before we had practice from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. This is a brutal time for a lot of us to have a workout, especially because we had practice the night before and a lot of us have a 7:30 class right after our workout. But why does everybody end up going to the workout even though it seems super difficult? The reason is because everybody knows that if one of us misses a workout, we will be severely punished by our strength and conditioning coach. Now, this is an example of institutional discipline, and it's clear to see why people in institutions that are very disciplined might think that they have self-discipline. Another example is the military. Now, I personally have never been in the military, but my cousin just joined the Marines, and I've listened to a lot of podcasts from ex-Navy SEALs like David Goggins and Jocko Willink. They all went through the same torturous boot camps and were sleep deprived for weeks because they knew that's what it took to become a Marine. But what happens to the people in all of the examples that I just shared whenever they're not required to do this stuff? Would they still follow through? Is that even discipline at all? Or even further, like Jocko talks about in one of his podcasts, what happens to a lot of Marines and ex-military when they come back from being deployed? Are their lives automatically super rigid and disciplined? Do they follow all the same eating habits and sleeping habits that they had while they were in the military? Well, obviously the answer is no. We've seen countless of examples of military people who come back and their lives are completely destroyed. And now, completely aside from the fact that they may have some mental trauma from going to war, some of these people may be perfectly fine coming back, but they just don't have the same discipline whenever nobody is around. And if there is no self-discipline, ultimately all those habits will fade away. To sum it up, self-discipline is what you do when nobody else is watching. And what do you do when it doesn't matter to anybody else whether or not you stick to your habits? One quote that I would like to share that has always stuck with me is, "Are you willing to do what you said you would do long after the mood you said it in has passed?" If you tell yourself that you want to start waking up early, are you willing to sacrifice going out with your friends to get a good night's sleep so that you can be well rested in the morning? When all of your friends are going out, are you willing to sacrifice that to stick to what you said you would do? Another example that I think makes this really clear is family vacations. A lot of people like taking these long vacations and sticking to none of their habits over vacation, which is perfectly fine if that's what you want to do. But for me personally, I think that true discipline means sticking to your habits no matter where you are. This ties in with the video that I talked about boredom as well, and how you need to fall in love with it to stick to your habits. Now, here's the way that I want to share with you guys that you can take the advantages of institutional discipline and self-discipline and combine them to build your own strong discipline. This technique is using an accountability partner. This combines the willpower of two people so that even when you don't feel like doing something, you are going to follow through because it's not just you who's on the line. You don't want to let the other person down. I would say that even having a small group of accountability people around you is great for building habits. And this, of course, is still self-discipline because this isn't necessarily an institution. If you one day decide, you know what, I don't want to keep following these habits, nobody is forcing you to. And it's not like you're going to be punished by the group if you don't follow through with your habits, but there is definitely some peer pressure that you can actually take advantage of to force yourself into those habits whenever you don't want to do them. Ultimately, it's on you to give it your all if you want to change your life. Become the person who never misses a workout. Become the person who always keeps their room clean. Become that person that everybody looks up to. But what happens when you're working out alone and it's just you and yourself in the gym? Are you going to push just as hard as when everyone else was around you? You need to find your own why deep inside of you on why you want to stick to your habits. And this is quite frankly one of the most fundamental aspects of building discipline, is having a really strong why. It's no coincidence that people who have maybe lost family members or are going through really traumatic things go really hard in the gym. You know that people always say that heartbreak is like the greatest pre-workout. Well, the reason for that is because they have a strong why on why they want to push so hard. Make sure you understand that the goals are not the end point. They're just a checkpoint, because the real goal is seeing yourself change over time. Like I've talked about in some of my other videos, fall in love with the process of changing, because if not, one day you're going to reach your goal and you're going to fall off and you're going to want to quit all your habits because you're going to say, I've already done what I said I was going to do. But the goal is just a checkpoint. For example, if your goal is to bench 225 on bench press, once you hit 225, are you going to want to stop going to the gym or maybe plateau your max because you don't want to get any stronger? The reality is that that's just a checkpoint of your long fitness journey. What is your real overlying goal? It's to change you as a person. If you keep pushing yourself day in and day out, even when things get hard, even when you mess up, that is the real goal that you are trying to accomplish. And that's when you know you've really succeeded. Well, that's basically it for today's video. And remember to leave a thumbs up if you liked anything in this video. Thank you guys so much for the support you guys showed in February. My goal was 10 subscribers and we made it to 15. On the very last day of February, one video blew up and I was able to get 6 subscribers. I know that sounds super dumb because this is a super small channel right now, but every single one of you means so much to me. My goal for March is to get 50 subscribers, which I know seems like a lot, but I know we can make it happen. So if you liked anything in this video, make sure to share it with some of your friends and smash that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much. And remember, you've got what it takes, but it'll take everything you've got.